Welcome back.
Welcome to Decision Space, the only show that takes place right here between the turns of your favorite games. I'm Jake Friedman.
I'm Pete Wissinger.
And this is the podcast about decisions in games.
And today we're just going to kind of do a loose, what have we played lately kind of thing, rather than deep diving on a specific game or having some sort of large academic topic. We're just going to talk about games, which is, I think, what most board game podcasts do every week. But in Decision Space, it's kind of like a little, a little treat.
Look, releasing an episode every single week is a very fast release schedule. And sometimes we have to dig really deep in the well and come up with a great topic like recent plays. So that's what we'll be presenting for you today.
Well, it's also kind of funny because I think a lot of can we call ourselves content creators? That feels like I'm putting us down.
I would prefer that you do not.
Okay, that's fair. But I feel like for a lot of board game podcasters or YouTubers, they're constantly playing games, and then that is their content, right? It's just whatever they've been playing, new stuff, whatever. That's like that's their content. But for us, it's like I'm playing games up to 2 to maybe even 3 times a week, and I basically never talk about those games on the podcast. Like, and it feels like I've got things to say about the games I'm playing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it used to be when, in the olden days of Decision Space, when we were like doing deep dives way more often, it felt like we were like constantly playing those games a ton. And it almost like crowds out other opportunities to play other stuff and do other things. So I like this new cadence of like, just really picking a game to deep dive because we think it's like really special, really worthy of that more infrequently. And then, having the opportunity to do fun stuff like this. So before we get into a discussion of a few recent plays, I want to do something new from now on and forever forth. Whenever we get a new Patreon supporter at patreon.com/decisionspace, that's a fantastic way that if you enjoy this show, you can support it and help allow us to do cool stuff for this show with a little bit of monetary support. You could do that there. So whenever we get a new patron, we're going to shout out that person. So we always plan to say thank you so much, Sean O'Malley, for supporting our Patreon and becoming a patron over the past few weeks. Now, I know that...
Welcome aboard, Sean.
Hey, now that I know folks who have been patrons for a long time maybe feel like, what the hell? So we want you to feel special too. So at the end of this episode, I'm going to read out all of our legacy patrons, a very special classification of patrons from the pre-show shout-out days. So we'll read all your names out then. So make sure you stay tuned for that exciting content at the very end of this episode.
Yeah, because this show is not presented, made possible by viewers like you. It's made possible by these specific people.
Yeah. That mic that Pete is using right now to sound so silky smooth, that's all you, baby. That's the patrons.
100%. Yeah. And that car I drive every day, also patron buddy.
Yeah. Whenever we're off for a week on vacation, you know it. Okay. Well,
all right.
Let's do it, man. Let's get into some recent plays.
Recent plays. Let's talk. I'm going to... Editing Pete will appreciate that you just put that in. So I would like to go first because I'm currently in the throes of obsession with a game. And the game that I have like fallen way deep into in the last week is Earthborne Rangers. Earthborne Rangers I just got in from back to the Kickstarter of the reprint of Earthborne Rangers. So it's been out for a couple of years at this point, but about a year ago, I backed the game found for the reprint of the game. This is put out by Earthborne Games. It's designed by a whole bunch of people in that studio, but kind of the main heads of design are Andrew Navarro and Andrew Fisher. Earthborne Games seems to be like a lot of people who used to work for Fantasy Flight in sort of the heyday of Fantasy Flight. These are like people who worked on the Arkham Horror card game, or worked on Marvel Champions, or worked on Netrunner, those sorts of things. And they've kind of come off and made their own thing. And I totally missed this game when it came around the first time. I think that most of the buzz around the game was about the production of the game, because the company's ethos is sort of to be as environmentally friendly as possible, to make it so that essentially when you get this box shipped to you, every single thing except the staples in the rule book are compostable. It's like the anti-chip theory games, whose whole thing is every component will exist forever. Um,
Oh, that's
and
good. I thought you were going to say the other thing was like destroy the Earth at all costs.
No, yeah. I don't think that they're quite that far.
Okay,
I know
good.
that chip theory has this thing
That's a
where they're like,
relief.
everything is plastic, so if you like threw this box in a swimming pool,
Right.
then like everything would be totally
Play it
fine.
at the bottom of your pool.
Right, exactly. Um, Jake, how familiar are you with the idea of Earthborne Rangers?
Yeah, you're going to have to like explain it to me like I'm 5. I know it is a cooperative card game, and I think that there's like a legacy aspect to it, and maybe like, but not like legacy like you're one and done, like a kind of like a campaign that you might go off in different directions on subsequent plays. But that's all I know.
It is sort of an open world campaign game. And I really have not played a game like this. Like, I didn't play the Arkham Horror card game. I didn't play the Lord of the Rings card game. I think, Jake, you said that you have played some Arkham Horror, the card game.
Yeah, I've played quite a bit of it, so I have that as a point of comparison.
Okay. You have to tell me as I'm talking what sounds similar and what doesn't. But um, this game has this really sort of unique theme that this is sort of like a post apocalypse where global warming has sort of destroyed the earth, and humanity went to live underground for like thousands of years. And in that time, the earth healed itself, and like totally nature completely took over. And we are the humans who have like come back up to resettle earth. But our main goal is to protect and preserve nature. So it's this like optimistic eco future, and the game has that sort of like optimistic, sort of sweet and cozy vibes. Now, I played the prologue with my brother, which is kind of supposed to be like a tutorial for the game that has you build your deck while you do the tutorial, because you create a character almost like you're running an RPG. And you have aspects of your personality, your background, and then whatever character class you've trained in to be a ranger all make up different components of your deck. But the prologue was just, I felt really bad, and I was like, "Uh oh, this is no good," because you're not. They're like showing you how to play the game without building a deck yet, and then you build pieces of your deck and continue playing, and it just didn't really work, and it felt frustrating, and we kept like running out of cards, and it was just like, what are we doing? But I think their idea is that they don't want to tell you to build a deck until you know what the cards do. Um, so then I played the first mission a couple nights later, and with another friend, and it was incredible. Like we were just like jaws on the floor. This game is so cool. So the way it basically works is you have this map and you choose a location to go to. And then you make a path deck, which is the ecosystem that you traveled through. So, like, let's say the point I'm at to the point I'm going between there is woods. So, we're going to take the
Mhm.
cards from the woods ecosystem. And then, whatever the location we're going to, we take the cards that go with that location and shuffle them together. And that's sort of like the environment.
Okay, not too
And
bad on setup, it sounds
setup
like.
is crazy quick.
Yeah,
Setup is very quick. And then basically every round, each player is going to draw a card from the environment deck that's going to be a card you have to deal with. These
yeah,
could be animals, it could be predators or prey, it could be flora, it could be obstacles. They all have a bunch of tags on them. And then the main crux of the game is you're doing tests to engage with the different cards. So you have basic tests, but then also the cards in your deck might unlock tests for you. And what's really cool is every time you do a test, you flip a random card over called the challenge card, which has modifiers for what the different, there's four sort of traits that you do a test with, and there's modifiers for the traits. So you're either going to get a +1, a 0, or a +0, a -1 or a -2. So you can kind of hedge your bets. It's not
Mhm.
like you're rolling a die to see if you succeed. You can put extra energy in to make
Right.
sure that you succeed. But at the bottom of the challenge card is a symbol. And after you do your test, every card in play that has that symbol on it does something. And it might say you might have a predator that says, like, if there is an active prey in play, exhaust this predator and damage that prey equal to this predator's strength. And that just like happens. Like, I don't do anything to
Right,
make
right,
that
right.
happen. Or there's like a buck and it's like, hey, if there's a doe in play, the buck is going to attack you and then move towards that doe. And so it's like, it feels like there's this like ecosystem going. In order for you to travel to another location, you have to sort of traverse the location, but any cards you haven't dealt with between you and the location fatigue you. So there's just like, it's this like crunchy, heavy card game. But at the
Sounds
same
yeah,
go
it's
on.
a lot of what you're saying sounds very similar to, like, Arkham Horror, just kind of in the process of, like, playing, right? All about test, like, having the cards, multi-use cards, and, like, putting yourselves in a good situation where you can, like, efficiently pass tests and kind of, like, making that kind of bet, like, how
Yeah.
much do I need to invest to increase my likelihood of passing? So, sounds it's like similar decision space, we could say.
Well, I think that what's unique here in terms of the decision space is that the game is very directionless. Like, you can really go to whatever location you want and just explore it. And there'll be people you meet, and if you talk to those people and engage with them, then they might give you like some information about something somewhere on the map, or they might even give you a quest, a mission that you can fulfill. And it's up to you what you want to do. Like, the first mission they give you is to deliver some biscuits to another town. So you literally have like you have to deliver 3 biscuits, right? But I talked to a guy in that town who was like, "Hey, do you want to come with me? I hear there's this like crazy animal up north, and I kind of want to see what it is." And so I ignored taking the biscuits to that town. I was like, I'm going to go with this guy and see what's up there. And so me and this guy traveled up north and like found this thing. And then it was like this really cool moment with some story beats. And then I got a card I could permanently add to my deck, which was like what this guy sort of taught me
Yeah.
along the way. Um, and so like every couple of games, it seems they'll like give you a major quest that they want you to deal with. But it's like totally up to you if you want to do that or not. Like, you can totally ignore the game, what it's telling you to do, and just run around and kind of see things and explore.
So how do I know one thing that's not clear to me in listening to you talk about this is like what is an instance of this game? Like is it like that one path that's
Yes.
like
No.
the game or like you could
No.
go a path and then a path?
Correct. Yeah. So basically, you choose when to stop. There's a couple things that'll instantly end the game. One is if you take 3 injuries, it ends the game. One is if another like human that you're traveling with is killed, it immediately ends the game. One is that if you run out of cards in your deck, it immediately ends the game. So basically,
Ends the game for like your
the day,
campaign
the
for the day.
day,
Okay.
yeah, and the campaign is 30 days,
Okay.
and so I usually play until I'm almost out of cards in my deck.
Right.
When my friend
So
Jared and I played, we were at one location the whole time because we were like, we were in like a town, and we were like, we just want to talk to everybody in the town. So we were just spending a lot of energy just talking to people.
yeah.
But then I played and I traveled to 3 different locations because I've been playing by myself solo as well.
Is
I
it
do think it's more fun with another person though, because part of the joy, I think, is reading the story that you get out loud to
Mhm.
the other person, and it'll be like, do you want to do this, and sort of deciding with another person. I do think that the storytelling comes alive a little bit more when you have another person. Also, you don't have to be a jack of all trades and be able to do every test.
Right.
You can be like,
I can
hey, you
specialize.
specialize. Yeah.
Yeah. Are there like cards that come up that will like if I do this action, that will also end the day. Like in Arkham Horror, there will be like basically you go to different locations. like you're kind of build up a map and like we'll like discover new locations. You could like move your character there. And some of those locations will have like a resign condition. It might be like, the equivalent of like deliver the biscuits and resign to like win the scenario, but it might also be like exit, like back exit door, like run out of here, like resign, but then the monster will like run through the building and kill all the innocents. So you get like, so you like still it will advance, and it would be a better like Arkham Horror has this like fail forward thing. So like no matter what, you advance to the next, or almost always you advance to like the next scenario or whatever. It's just like how well you did. So you might win, you might like escape unharmed, but all the innocent people die, or you might like die or get like knocked out by like the big bad or whatever, which would be like 3 degrees of sort of finishing the scenario.
So I've only played 4 days of the game, and so far I'm not sure how you lose
Why
the
would
game.
you why did you end your day with cards still left in your deck?
Um. Oh, wait, I mean, like, so if you don't camp,
Uh-huh.
which is like after you move locations, you can decide now I'm gonna like set camp.
Okay, okay.
Then you don't get to
Some
like
negative.
refresh your injuries, or you don't get to do any deck building
Gotcha.
between and things like that.
Okay, that's cool. That makes sense. I was just like, I felt like there has to be like something that
Yeah,
would impact positively or negatively sort of like your
right.
next thing.
Yeah, you do want to get out of a location and then choose to set camp.
Yeah. Cool.
It's like so immersive. I find that the cards are so well designed, and like it just has this kind of positive vibe to it. And there's not really a huge sense of urgency to the
Yeah.
game, um,
How is
and it's
the
just working.
how's the like hardcore player interaction?
Yeah, so when you're playing with another person, you each have your own challenges you're dealing with, but you can help each other with your cards that are in front of you. And then the sort of universal challenges just scale by player count.
Yeah.
So it'll
I was
take
sort of
like,
joking too. I was just I was sort of joking. I thought like, this doesn't sound like, people listening to this podcast might be like surprised that to like find that this is like your jam. Like it sounds more of the sort of like I don't know. I mean, it's not exactly a Euro game, but like I find when I'm playing Arkham Horror, like it's like a lot of like this sort of Euro mechanism part of my brain of like a very intricate, very like action efficiency puzzle um, that often is like contrary to like the more
it's
interactive side
interesting.
of the hobby.
I think there's a couple reasons why this is hitting for me. One is that the storytelling, while there are parts that you read, most of the storytelling is kind of emergent storytelling. Like things happen with the card interactions and that creates a story. And you're making choices to go where you want to go because you have this internal story. So I don't really love games where you're reading from a storybook, and
Yeah,
that's a pretty minor part of this one.
that's
But
kind of a
also like,
downside for Arkham Horror. Like the text passages, like I would rather play solo because they're like so long. Like I don't want to read like 2 pages out
oh,
loud. Yeah,
no.
it's like
Yeah.
it's kind of wild.
No, it's not like that. But
Yeah,
the other thing is that like I don't know. I have things that I like in games. Like I like interactivity. I like sort of games where you're in each other's face and stuff. But I like all kinds of games. I play everything. I like
not
a good
allowed.
game. Yeah, right. Like I think that one thing though is that I like card games. And I think
Yeah,
it helps for me that everything in this game is cards. I love holding a hand of cards, shuffling a bunch of cards. I think that if this
drawing
was
cards, the best
the
mechanism in
best
all of
mechanism,
games.
but like
Some would say.
like dungeon crawl games don't really do it for me in terms of exploration. Like I played Gloomhaven and thought it was okay. I played the Star Wars Imperial Assault, which is kind of based off of Descent, and really didn't like it. But for some reason, like Slay the Spire, I love, and this I really like. What do those have in common? They're just card games,
Yeah, drawing
They're
cards, baby, can't beat
yeah,
it.
100%.
Ooh, I wonder what
So
this card's gonna be.
yeah, so it's cool. I'm playing it Now, I have a solo character I built, and I have another character that I'm playing with my brother and our friend as a 2 to 3, depending on how many of us show up. So I literally have 2 campaigns going in my box, which I've really gone off the deep end with it. It's super cool. Um, it's kind of funny because I know that Vantage from Jamie Stegmaier is coming out this month, and this is they both seem to have similar prompts. If you were to read what the game
Yeah.
is, they're going to sound the same. It's an open world game where you're exploring nature and you get to choose what you do, and there's a mission and you can do it or you can kind of do your own thing. But this game is that with a whole lot of crunchiness to it.
Hmm.
Whereas Vantage seems to be that, but it wants everything else to get out of the way so that you're just experiencing that.
Yeah, they both very much are like trying to like evoke whimsy, it feels like,
For
right?
sure.
Whimsical
Yeah,
games, but yeah, I would imagine having listened to you describe this that like Vantage will come out in significantly like lower on like the weight scale on BGG probably.
I would think. Anyway,
Cool. That's
Earthborne
awesome.
Rangers, I'm into it. I'm going to keep playing it. I'm
I'd
into it.
love to
Yeah.
try it. It sounds like my kind of thing. I love the Arkham horror system. It's like it's still up there for me, honestly, and one of my like favorite games all time categories. Like it's excellent, but that sounds like it has sort of like softened and resolved some of like the little nitpicks I have with Arkham Horror. So sounds like one I'd be super into, especially if the like character building, deck building aspect, something I love, it feels like robust and cool. All right. Let's go to one of my um in my life right now, Pete. You know this. I keep talking about this. I have a baby. It makes it like
What?
game. Yeah, right. I was sharing pictures with you today of the baby. I can't help it, dude. My brain. Something happened to me. I think it was when the baby was born. That was like what did
That
it.
that maybe have been a moment that changed something.
Yeah, and now I'm like, I have to show Pete this picture of my baby in a swimming pool. Um, anyway, uh, it makes it like hard, right, to game in the same way I have. But recently, I've found something that has been working for me for like getting games to the table, which is that we like learned that like in the when the baby's awake, like you're like trying to figure out like what to do. And we recently realized we're like, wait, the baby does not really care what we do. The baby just like wants to be like, interacted with and stuff and like go places. Uh, but it's not really going to move the needle for the baby that much where we're at. So we've been going to like like cool coffee shops or like breweries in St. Louis and getting like a nice drink and playing like a quick card game. That's something that's been working really well for us for like finding time to get games to the table. And one game that I played a couple times at we played at 3 players, then we played again at 4 players. Was Linko. This is a Kramer and Kiesling card game. I described it to my friend as sort of like unhinged Uno when I was like kind of trying to sell it to him as a game to play. Very simple numbers on cards game by one of my favorite designers. So it was one I hadn't played until very recently and knew I wanted to. So I was happy to pick up a copy and give it a shot. So very quickly, what you do in Linko, you have a deck of numbered cards. You have cards 1 through 13, and you've got 8 of each card. That makes up the deck. There's a couple jokers. I think there's maybe like 4 in the deck that are just X's or like wild cards. And on your turn, it functions kind of like a shedding game, I would say, where you can play any number, like any set of cards. You could play a single card, any card you want, or you could play like any type of set, 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, on up to 8 of a kind if you manage to like collect all of the cards of one number. And then you look at the set you've just played and compare it to the most recent played set of everybody else at the table. And if you like outclass them by having the exact same size of set, meaning like if Pete has 3 cards in front of him, I play a set of 3. If my set of 3 is a higher number than his, then I get to snatch his cards. I can take them into my hand, or I can say, I don't want those. You have to discard them, Pete, and then either way, Pete has to refill his hand. And you're basically just trying to score the most points. Very simply, your points at the end of the game are the cards in front of you minus the cards in your hand. The game end game is triggered when somebody plays out the last card from their hand, hence the sort of shedding motif. And that is all the rules of Linko. Pete, you've played this one, right?
I played it once, and I have to say it didn't really hit for me. I think it was a little bit chaotic and random for me, but I think it didn't help that it was introduced to me as a shedding game, and I had in my mind what that meant. And it was sort of like, oh, this is like a shedding take that game.
It's like Uno more, right? Like Uno is a shedding game, right?
Right.
Because you're trying to get down. If you don't know, I'll explain the rules of Uno to you. But essentially, you try to get down to one card, and then you have to say Uno, and then if you play that card, you win the game. But the thing about Uno is like you're constantly going down cards and then up cards, and that's how Linko feels too. Whereas I think in the shedding games that are like more your cup of tea, Pete, you're typically going more linearly down, I would say.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with some up and down, but it just felt, again, I only played it once. So I
Yeah.
had no idea how to play it well. Um, but it felt like there wasn't a ton of room for playing well whenever
Yeah.
I played it.
I think that is a very astute observation. So I'm playing it twice. The first time I felt exactly the same way. I was like, I don't know if I like this at all. And honestly, like if it wasn't for like the name of the designers, I probably would have been like, okay, cool, I tried it, but whatever. Um, Well, and also the fact that I had taught it to Bridget, right? So now she knows it, which makes it like
Mm.
easier to like get back to the table. So when we were going to meet up with friends again, we're like, that one that we just played. Um, the second time I played it, I liked it much more. And I think like I was starting to see interesting decisions uh, come to bear more. Um, and like for instance, I got towards the end of the game and I had basically like a set of 5 and a set of 3, and I'm thinking like, what do I do to end this game here? I could play this set, and what I said was like, okay, I'll play the set of 5. I think it was like 5 threes or something, right? I play the set of 5 because it's like less likely that somebody else has a set of 5 in their hand to like bounce the fives or my set. But then somebody did have it. They kicked my hand back to me, basically, causing me like a huge tempo loss. And I said, like in hindsight, perhaps it would have been better to play the 3 cards because then people aren't going to know that I'm like, one turn away from ending the game for 1, and for 2 players will be like a lot less incentivized to play 3 cards cuz like towards the end of the game everybody's just wanting to play as many cards as they have, so like it would force somebody to make a real like decision of like potentially taking a weaker turn in order to snatch my cards back to my hand or whatever, as a like, would that person who played the set of 5 have just chosen to play their 5 cards instead anyway? And then I put the 5 in my. So like I think there's like actually interesting decisions, and probably a lot of like ability to outplay in this game if you like wanted to go that route and go really deep. You're just seeing so many cards and like playing so many that it just feels like there's a lot of opportunity there to kind of like shape your hand and make plays.
Yeah. I mean, I think as like a light card game to bring with you to a brewery, that's probably the correct environment for it.
Yeah.
Um, it's just hard for me when I have so many somewhat similar games to imagine a reason why I would go for this one.
I think that's fair, and I do have like my biggest nitpick with this game. Both times I played it, is it just played long, like much longer than I would expect a game of this kind of like weight and rule set to take. Because like you are getting cards kicked back to your hand constantly. I think it took upwards of like 30 minutes, maybe more.
Is it a
Which
one hand game?
it's just one hand, but you play through like basically this whole deck, right?
Right.
You're going through. So I think very fun for like that casual atmosphere. There's like a lot of interaction to it. It's also like a lot meaner. Like it's like Uno mean, right? Like
Yeah.
because some which can be like people would like that, some people wouldn't like that, but like it could be funny in how brutal it is because your topmost set is always at risk. But like if we're playing at 4-person, the person on my left takes my topmost set, the next player takes my topmost set, and then the third player takes my topmost set. Like, my whole game can be like undone in a matter of moments when I thought, that I was like a safe position. And so anyway, I think that's Linko. I think it's pretty cool. I think people would enjoy it if they want something fun. And something I do hear a lot is like literally the other day, um, somebody at my work is like saw us playing games and was like, "Let me know when you guys are gonna play Uno." Like I love Uno, and so like I do think there's like a real something I think about before is like, what's my Uno kind of replacement? Like if somebody loves Uno, what game am I going to show them? I think Linko is a great candidate for that. I think Art Robbery is a great candidate for that too. Um, and then I think
Is Scout too heavy to be the Uno replacement?
See, that was what I was gonna say, and like above both of those, I think like this game comes very close to Scout, which I do feel like is a kind of like maybe like more elegant
Sure.
design. It kind of feels like it packs more kind of like excitement, tempo, uh, drama in a very similar kind of time and rule set. So that might be my king of the category. But I had fun with Linko, and I think especially if Bridget enjoys it enough that it's one I would like continue to bring out in that kind of a setting.
One that I just picked up at Origins that feels to me like kind of the stepping stone to Scout is this game called Nanatoridori, which is on Board Game Arena. But it's basically Scout, but you can only play sets of the same number. And the other thing is that when you beat what's on the table, you can pick up all of those cards and put them in your hand. But you can't move the stuff. But like if I beat your 3 3s with 3 5s, I can put your 3 3s in my hand. And maybe I have 2 3s. Now I've got 5 3s. It's pretty cool. It's on Board Game Arena. I recommend it if you like these types of games, but you want something that's a little bit breezier.
Cool.
All right. So my next one is going to be a Euro game. Yes, Pete plays Euro games, people. Can
We're
you
learning
believe it?
so much about you on this
Crazy. It's
episode.
everyone imagines that all I do is like play arcs against myself or whatever. But
My
no, so
Yeah, my like in my head when I think of you, Pete, it's like I just picture us at a game name, like, hey, let's play this like cool Stefan Feld game. You just like smack me, and you're like, no, trick taking.
it's really funny because Paul recently I play games with Paul most Monday nights. And he said that he doesn't bring any like roll and write games or flip and write games because I don't like them. And I'm like, dude, if you like, I'll play a flip and write. Like I think that some people have hard and fast rules for what types of games they will and will not play, but I just like playing games. Like
Yeah,
anyway. So this
I
is
don't really think that about you,
I'm
but
fine. I can handle it.
I was doing a joke.
That was a joke.
I was
All right.
trying.
I'll laugh next time. So my Euro game is actually one that I backed on Kickstarter. And this is the reprint of a game called Calimala, which was designed by Fabio Lopiano, and the original game came out in 2017. And I think maybe this was sort of a game that the people who played it in 2017 were like, "Oh my gosh, why is no one talking about this game?" And then it comes to Kickstarter with art from Ian O'Toole, and everyone's like, "Oh, what's this game?" And that's me. I am that shallow person who saw very pretty Ian O'Toole medieval-looking art and was like, "Yes, I want to play this game." Um, have you heard anything about Calimala?
I have heard about it. I probably was listening to like So Very Wrong About Games podcast in 2017, and they were like, "Why is nobody
Yeah,
talking about
right,
Calimala?" So that's kind of like where I enter this
for
story.
sure.
What
So
I think about is like you like are placing like your player tokens or chips like to on top of each other to like create
Yes,
a stack, and that is like creating territory control on a grid.
you're close.
Okay.
You're close. Okay. I will say that this is a great example of what I call feel good Euro games, which are Euro games that you get things on other people's turns and you don't block each other, and it's quite generous. But this one I think is more clever than most feel good Euro games. The way that this works, first of all, the randomized setup for this game is a really easy way to do variability. The main thing that's random is the actions in the game are all on tokens, and you set those up in a 3 by 3 grid, and then you will place your worker discs between two actions and take the actions on either side. So the actual layout of the double actions is going to be different every time you play, and there'll be like hotspots that just happen when you play it. And then if someone else wants to take that same pair of actions, they put their disc on top of yours, and then you both get to take the actions. Then if someone put theirs on top, all three people get to take the actions. If I put it on top of myself, I get to take the actions twice. Right. So you create these like stacks of workers to take actions. But then when the fourth worker is placed on a stack, the bottom one comes out and goes up to the top of the board and activates a scoring condition. So there's like 15 different things that score, and it's basically 15 different area majority games. And that's the other part of the random setup, is that the scoring criteria are happen in a random order every time you play. And so you know that like, oh, sending cloth to cities over the sea is going to be the first thing that hits or whatever.
Ooh, we are in Euro territory.
Dude, okay, have you ever watched the IT Crowd? Uh
No.
it's a
Sorry.
British TV show, and there's an episode where Moss, who is like the really really kind of boring nerd, has a board game review channel called Game Board, and they play a clip of him, and it's him and his friends talking about reviewing a game called Textile Merchant. And this is Textile Merchant, right? It is the boring Euro game from that episode of the IT Crowd. You're making cloth, and you're putting that cloth on boats or whatever, right? So,
Incredibles.
yes. I mean, but it is really elevated by this new Ian O'Toole art with tool layered boards and all that. But anyway, um, so you also have these in-game scoring cards that you get one at the beginning of the game that you don't show anybody, and those are in-game scoring, and everyone scores it, but only you know that your card is going to score. So it feels a little like Twa in that way.
Hmm. Interesting.
And so you can kind of pay attention to what other people are doing. Um, there's a lot of really satisfying engine building. Like it'll say, uh, put a resource in each of your workshops. And when you start the game, you only have one workshop. But like if you build 4 workshops, you get 4 resources when you take that action. Or it's ship a cloth in each with each of your boats. You start with only one boat, and then it's like, oh well, now I've got 3 boats, so I get to ship 3 cloths. So there's that very clear cut, satisfying. But I taught this game to 4 people that I didn't know at a game night, and they were of varying levels of game literacy. Like there are people who like play games, but they're not sickos like we are.
Hmm.
And they caught on immediately and loved it. And so it has this very easy, clean, clear decision space and this sort of frictionless system that worked really, really well. It's interactive because it's basically 15 different area majority games happening at the same time. You can see when the scoring conditions are coming up. So everyone's kind of incentivized to push in the same direction. Or you can say, I'm going to skip the next 2 and I'm going to go hard for the next one or whatever. Just a really smooth. I think this is one of those games that if this came out in like 1997, people
Yeah.
would be like, oh my gosh, because it feels like one of those kinds of games, right?
Uh-huh.
It came out in 2017, but I think its soul is in the late 90s and early 2000s.
That's where my soul is too.
Yeah.
I mean, listening to you talk about this, it absolutely sounds like my kind of jam. One thing I don't understand is with the scoring at the top of the board, when a one falls off, it just triggers whatever's next in line, or like that person gets to pick?
No, it triggers what's next in line,
Okay, so you always
but
know. Yeah.
yeah. And the tiebreaker is basically who has had the most workers kicked into the scoring.
Hmm.
So, like, you're also incentivized to go to the places everyone wants to
Yeah.
go to,
Be
because then you're
first.
filling up the tiebreakers because there's a lot of ties in the game.
Yeah.
I
Cool.
played it with 5. I think it would probably be better with 3 or 4 just because oftentimes by the time it whipped back around to me, scoring would have triggered that I, like, wish I would have had another go at.
Yeah.
It just kinda went really fast. But yeah, that's the game.
About how long did it take you at 5?
5 with the teach was like it was like 90 minutes maybe? Not
Nice.
bad.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like that's right there in the sweet spot. Cool. Yeah, I'd love to try that one. Do you think like every Euro game should have like a face down scoring objective that everybody gets at the end? Like it is you don't see it often. I feel like it's kind of polarizing. Like when I first played Troyes, the game spelled Troyes.
Troyes, yes.
I I didn't know. I think I didn't kind of like it at first. I was just kind of like, I don't know. This feels kind of like weird and kind of uh like extra random elements of scoring. But like the more I played that game in particular, the more I was like, no, this is actually like a way to kind of like insert excitement, also like insert like skill ceiling without too much rules overhead. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a little bit of it in Keyflower too with the winter tiles that,
Hmm.
at least one winter tile that'll go up for auction. Twa actually is a game that this reminded me of a lot, but I think Twa is a game that is not effortless to play.
No.
Twa is a game that is incredibly sort of like brain burning and difficult to teach and kind of awkward in its flow. And so this hits a lot of the same notes as Twa, but is completely easy to play.
Cool. All right, I will seek that out or
I'll just have to bring
eagerly
it. We'll have to
say
play
yes.
games sometime, Jake. We never play games.
Someday we never people would not know we'd never ever play games together. We do once in a while,
Once in a
but
while.
like yeah, like a couple times. Okay. Okay, I want to talk about I have a couple on my Rolodex here. I'll bring this one up too. This is also going to be pretty quick. So this is another game that Bridget and I tried at a coffee shop. It's called Confusing Lands, and it is designed by Confusing Lands board game. It is designed by Pete. Get ready for you're not going to believe it. Zach Edsvug. Wow, I wish.
I'm a huge Edzvuk head.
And even better, the artist Zach Edsvug as well.
Wow.
So really kind of like a multifaceted artist in the board game space. But anyway, let me tell you about this game. So I learned about this from our friend Paul Solomon. I can't remember, neither of us could remember when he mentioned on this podcast. I think it was like in one of our pre-show segments for the patrons. But he loves it. So I saw somebody selling it for $5 at Geek Way to the West, and I said I will take that. Thank you. So I bought it, and it sat unplayed for a while until recently. I've had this like playing games at coffee shop renaissance in my life, and I thought this would be a perfect game for Bridget and I to try out. It's an 18 card micro game, really, that plays in 10 minutes. And here's how you play it. Each card is dual sided, and it's got like uh, it's like kind of like a game where you're like building out a little territory, like King Domino or something. So basically, on the cards, there's a grid and there's like features like forests, towns, stuff like that. Animals, there's like wolves and elk. Um, on one side, it's just that. On the other side, it's like similar features, but it will also have a scoring objective. So you start the game, you flip up one scoring objective, so that's like active for both players. Then both people will draw 2 cards, and you can place either side of either card, the one with the scoring objective or the one without, on your personal board that you'll be building out over the course of the game, and then you give the other card to the other person, and they have to play that, and they can again place either side. The scoring objectives are obviously good because they give you points, but there's a really interesting trade off with them, which is that like you can never cover them, and they start at -10 points, so you have to score at least 11 points, right, on whatever the objective is. And it'll be something like, score 3 points for every tree that's touching two other trees, stuff like that. So you have to make sure you're scoring like, more than 10 points, presumably, for it to be worth it. But really, you probably want to score like at least 12, or else you're kind of hurting yourself by kind of hamstringing your building options on like how you want to play and orient cards, because you can never cover them up. And that's the game. You only do the game ends after each person has played 8 cards. So there's 16 cards played. You have the 17th, which is the shared scoring objective, and then 1 card is like not used in any given game. That's how you play Confusing Lands. Plays in like literally 10 minutes. Bridget and I played it twice back to back. Had a really great time with it.
It sounds very much like a Paul game.
Yeah. What makes you say that?
Well, I mean, Paul
Besides
likes
that he likes it.
games where you're given something that you have to play in a pattern and a bunch of different scoring criteria you're trying to hit. Like these are big kind of Paul mechanisms in
Yeah.
my mind.
That's fair. I would say like just a couple other thoughts about the game. Like one thing that is like a downside of this system, as like kind of featherweight as it is that like you have to have this like reference, like the rule book with like the scoring thing and like a common place, because each of those 18, you're going to need to look at, especially in your first play, you're going to have to look up 2 things on every single turn of your game on the back of the rule book. They're pretty easy, but not so easy that you can just like look at the iconography and know exactly how the scoring works. And it has a little bit of that problem too with like I think of Cascadia, where it's like I understand these scoring objectives, but then like when you actually comes time to scoring, there's like more questions than you want. Kind of, you're like, wait, can this like animal see this other animal? Like it gets a little bit like more tricky, I think, in like the spatial element on a lot of these scoring games. So I would say this suffered from that like just a bit. And then my
But if
other like, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but if you tell me this is like Cascadia, but it plays in 10 minutes, that's great.
Yeah, yeah, it's very yeah. I mean, it's not exactly like Cascadia, but it is hitting a lot of those notes for sure for me. Um, at least in like the kind of like the spatial reasoning of the scoring cards and like how all that works. It's giving you that aspect of it, not so much the drafting, though there is a little kind of micro draft each round. Um, the other thing I wanted to say about this game is that like, and this is just me being like petty and obnoxious. But like I think it's so weird when card games have like shared information on the front and back, and like you're doing kind of simultaneous play. Like theoretically, right? We're both gonna like look at our cards like independent of the other. But like if you're sitting across the table from somebody, like one could look at what somebody else has and then maybe they want to wait to play their cards second. Obviously, I'm not doing this with my wife. We're playing very fast and loose. um but I just always like can't help but to like make note of these games where it's like it feels like there's a slight advantage to the person who's like going second. And
Mhm.
Bridget is like very, not as much a gamer as me. Like she would kind of do the thing where she'd be like, "Oh, you're giving me that? Actually, I'm gonna play this other card." And like, okay, I don't think that's how it's supposed to work, but like, but like, who cares? Um, but at the end of the day, these are like really small nitpicks for like what I think is like a very clever piece of design, absolutely perfect for coffee shop play. Bridget spilled water all over my cards instantly as soon as we started playing, and like it doesn't even matter because like there's not really hidden information on the cards. It's like totally fine. So maybe that's another plus for coffee shop. Um, And you can definitely be clever in this game. Like in the first time we played it, I like felt like I cheesed the game super hard by like only putting out one scoring objective ever, and it said like score your least scored thing again, which was like the middle one, and I just like got every tree and scored like so many more points than Bridget. And so like there's like there, I don't know if that's like a balance issue, probably not, but it just felt like there's a lot of opportunity to be kind of clever and play in the system, which I'm always impressed with such a small footprint and small set of components in a game. So confusing lands, I was nitpicking and everything, but like highly recommend checking this one out. And I think it's in Pete's like honorable mentions for like top 20 games of all time, or maybe it even made his top 20. We can't remember, but he likes it a lot too. Did I say Pete? I meant Paul.
Yeah, I was gonna correct. I was like, I was gonna maybe go to the edit and be like, Paul.
Well, yeah, well, I got it. I do it on the front end for you there.
Do you want to do another couple real quick, or
Maybe we do like a lightning round. Do you want to do
all
like
right?
give me like
Yeah,
5 minutes on a game that you
yeah,
played recently?
yeah. I'll do one that you have played. So I recently played the trick taking game Xylotar.
Oh,
Uh,
hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so Xylotar is a crazy game. First of all, it might have the best theming I've ever seen in a game. It is about a possibly murderous polar bear who plays an instrument created specifically for him called the Xylotar. None of it matters at all to the game, at all. But
I
there
disagree
is
there, but I
there
don't
is
want
a
to
story in
derail.
the rule book that is well worth reading. Anyway, Xylotar is a really strange trick taking game. It's by a designer named Chris Ray, and it's based on a game that he self published called Magic Trick. But the basics of the game is that you're going to get a line of cards in front of you that look like the keys of a xylophone, and they're arranged in numerical order. And it's a deduction trick taking game where at some point you're going to reveal a card and say, "This is my bid," because you have kind of deduced what number you think is on that card. That's kind of the broad strokes of how the game works. You get a point per trick, and you get bonus if you actually hit the bid that you randomly were like, "Hey, this card is my bid." And if you do it, that's great. The deduction as you go, you're kind of narrowing down the ranges of numbers while also figuring out how many tricks you think you're going to take. Um, I think it's just really clever. It's kind of a silly trick taking game. If I have a nitpick, it's that I kind of think that it's not rewarded enough if you hit your bid. Like if I just win a ton of tricks and don't hit my bid, that's better than someone who just like wins a couple tricks and hits their bid. Or it's like not necessarily better, but I think the person who hits their bid should be like way more rewarded in the game. But that's just like a trick taking nerd nitpick. I think that it's such a weird, cool game. What do you think? You've played it, Jake.
I think I'm not normally somebody who like needs to have like thematic music playing when I play board games, but you better believe I've got like Howard Jones Spotify essentials going every time I've got Xylotar on my table. Yeah, I really like this game. I think it's like I can't I don't think you could like overstate how much I like this game because of the theme, right? It's worth it to buy this game just because like the theme and like the rule book explanation of the theme. It's just like a hilarious read. I
I
almost want to
agree.
I almost want to read it. Maybe at the end of this episode we could just read it
A
in the post
dramatic
show
reading of the story
for,
of Bobby McColdsnap. Yeah.
because it's so good, dude. It's so funny. And so like you have to like read that to everybody and then you're just like in a good mood. You throw on Howard Jones and like you're going to have an awesome time playing Xylotar. I liked learning this game because at first I was like I don't know what I'm doing at all. And then like like especially in that like first play where it was like then everybody's kind of like figuring it out together, kind of how the game works and like how to make bids and how to, kind of do the deduction part of the game as well. I think it super sings in that first learning play, and then like coming back to it later because we had such a good time where like we should play Xylotar all the time, and then we kind of went back to it and we're like okay, it's okay, but like Yeah, one of my favorite plays of the year was like my first experience with Xylotar. So a high recommend for me.
If I was going to do one change to the game, I think that the number of points you get for bidding should be based on whether you were the first, second, third, or fourth person to bid. Because I think it would be cool if the first person to bid got more points because they took a gamble and bid
Right.
early,
Yeah, you kind of
but
want to just wait as late as you
as
can.
late as you can for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, give
Well,
me.
maybe that's coming out in Xylotar Unhinged, which
I
is
got that expansion, and that's how my intention was to play with the expansion. But there was someone at the table who had never played, and I was like, I don't want to learn the expansion on the fly with someone's first time playing. So we just played straight up Xylotar. But I have Xylotar Unhinged.
I can't
Very
wait,
excited.
dude. It's I know it's
Just so
I
you
know
know, Jake, the story continues.
no way, dude. Don't spoil no spoilers. No spoilers. Um okay. I'll wrap us up here and just want to talk just for a couple minutes about uh I was thinking about Brian Boru, but like I don't know if it's fair to you to not give you your say. So maybe I'll talk about let's we can we'll have like the Brian Boru versus Jiraku versus Arcs conversation on a later date. Uh,
Okay.
but another game I played at the same game night that I played Brian Boru and had an awesome time was Antike II. Are you familiar with Antike II at all?
Would I be lost if I didn't play the first Antica?
No, no. Um,
I know nothing about this game. Literally
yeah.
nothing.
Okay, so it's a Mac Gerdts game from like probably 2006, I'm guessing. Um, but so it
2014.
okay, well, it looks like it came out
It does look like it came out.
2006. They're like this is very maybe now I was gonna say unfairly critical, but like it's fair. A fair criticism. Like the board is like low resolution.
It
Like
looks terrible. The
the
board
icons,
looks
like
terrible.
the icons are not printed in high enough resolution. Like you look at the rondel, it's like a Matt. So it's Matt Gertz. He designs like all these rondel games. This is one of them. And like the rondel is like low res. It's like how could that have happened? How?
It looks like it's from like a 1990s PC game.
Yeah, no, totally. But what the game is a sort of like one of these like empire like civilization building games that plays out in an hour, right? That's sort of like I think kind of like a sub genre, like something that like a lot of people want to do. Um, and I think this game does that better than most. Um, what you do in this game is you're trying to like compete to be I think like depending on player count you're trying to get a different number of objectives and there's like objective cards so the objectives are like research science like being the first person to like research science that gives you an achievement rather sail the world like have ships in 7 different sea spaces like expand to different territories like all this like very classic board game stuff uh, and the only way you do all these actions is by taking the rondel and base and like half of the rondel is just like get iron get gold get stone and then you can use those things to like buy troops. You can put up these like temples that like increase your production. Whenever you move a troop to like a new space, you can found a city there, like increasing your production. So it has like a very satisfying like building um, thing going on with it where in the first part of the game and I think this is kind of cool too it sort of like mirrors the civilization building everybody's just like building out in front of them it's like this is great we're all just like getting more spaces and like getting more money and then you get to like the last third of the game and all of a sudden it's like oh there's nowhere else to expand without like bumping into my neighbors and then the whole game like changes on a dime it's like wait why is everybody investing so heavily in iron now and it's like boom, just like dumping boatloads of troops, boatloads of ships, and just like kind of having an all-out war uh, to get the last achievements you need, which tend to be like the more fighty ones. So like one of the achievements like taking over somebody's temple, which is really hard because the temple, you need a ton of troops to do it. or like expanding to enough territories, meaning like I have to encroach in other people's space as well. And I played it twice now. Both times it's just like really quick. It's one of those games where it's like I can't believe it's already my turn. Oh man, like what am I gonna do? Because most of the turns just be like get money, get iron, get stone, and you like do that several times around until finally, okay, now I'm gonna do my like big move and just like dump units on the board or like do a big military movement. And yeah, it's so like very simple. I think it gives you like if you want that kind of experience in a short amount of playtime. And if you like a rondel game, like which I think is a big if because it does feel as you're playing this game like like you're going around in circles. Like you just have these tokens that like go around the rondel over and over, and like you'll find yourself like kind of in these like ruts where it's like you're just like following somebody else. Like they get iron, you get iron, and like the next thing you can get is like stones. So like okay, now we're both getting stone, and like pretty much people are like always doing the same things early on. You're expanding, and then there's just kind of like these few key opportunities that like each player will have to like leverage something differently than their opponent and like do that wisely and you'll win, do that poorly and you will get uh not enough achievements and lose the game narrowly, and that's sort of the kind of experience that you're in for. I tend to like Matt Gertz. My criticism is just that it's just so like his themes tend to be like so dry. I played his like crossing oceans games against like about like steamships in the Atlantic, and then or I played transatlantic and then his follow-up crossing oceans about the same theme.
Well, like,
all of his
yeah,
games look like he just like bought an atlas and is like cut out one of the pages and like this will be my board,
well,
no
and this
edits.
this is a map of the Mediterranean, and this came out in 2014. In 2013, he released Concordia, where the board is a map of the Mediterranean, right? Like,
It's so funny, and it's like all like the Roman territory names, so like you can't even find anything like you have to like start out by placing like you get like a card that tells you like the three things that you're supposed to start, and I'm like okay, I'm looking for like Ludwig.
I think it's funny that he's known so much for rondels, but his most popular game is Concordia, which maybe the Concordia card system is just like secretly a rondel offloaded into cards in your hand.
That's what we said about Arc Nova too, where it's just like this, a rondel by any other name or whatever. But
Basically,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I mean, there's something to that too, where it's like what's your like local maximum? Like get really good at a thing, and pursue that. And I think like Matt Gertz is the master of this one thing. Like if you're gonna play a rondel game, like check this one out. Check out one of his other ones. That's kind of where I'd point you to. So anyway, that's my thoughts on brief thoughts on Antike II. Two plays, but like many years apart.
Cool. Well, that probably brings us about to a full episode of us just talking about games. What have you guys been playing recently? All should come to our Discord and tell us what you've been playing, or tell us if you have played any of these games that we just mentioned. A couple of games that I was ready to talk about but didn't have time for. Played trick taking games like Skull Queen. I played a game called Rise and Fall that I spent a lot of money on getting a copy from France, and then I didn't like it and sold it immediately. We're here to talk about games. So come to our Discord. And, if you're a patron, you could talk to us in the patron exclusive channel.
Speaking of patrons, I've got 45 names to read. I'm just gonna do first names since I don't didn't nobody knew this was coming. So thank you very much, Michael, Koala 342, Nicholas, Tordanik, Teresa, Angela, Scion, Heather, Anne, Connie, Bo, Torgear, Benjamin, Brent, Kevin, Jeff, Bart, Patrick, Douwe, Aurora, Aurora, our good friend Aurora, friend of the podcast, Henry, Luke, William, Jeremy, Tyler, Jared, Akrata, Robert, Sam, Matt, Alex, Jim, Johannes, John, Jim, Matt, Bill, Tammy, B flat, Couch, William, Upped Manatee, John, and Brett.
Thank you all so much for being the absolute best.
And until next week, thanks so much for listening to this podcast.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.